talking about Mary Kay right here. Now, when I got to reading some of this, I say, no way she did this. But I'm going to go to her X account to pull it up. But we finna read this article. It states, Cleveland Browns reporter Mary Kay Cabot is again under the fire of Shedeur Sanders supporters on social media. Did she intentionally slight Shedeur Sanders, quarterback of the Browns, after graduating? Many feel she minimized his accomplishments with wording used in a recent story, and she headlined the term diploma rather than a degree. Damn. It's led to online backlash continuing followers' beef with Mary Kay Cabot, the belief she's made in her mission to prorate the second-year quarterback. Now, let's head on over to Mary Kay X before we get into this, man. Because
Shedeur Sanders earned a college degree from the University of Colorado with a 3.9 GPA. The reporter covering his team wrote about it and used the word diploma, not degree, diploma, one word. And the people who follow Shedeur Sanders closely enough to remember every slight, every anonymous source story, every carefully framed piece of coverage that has been aimed at him since the moment he arrived in Cleveland, they caught it instantly. But here is what makes this story bigger than a word choice debate. Because in 2015, the same reporter covered a Browns player receiving his college degree. And the word she used in that story was not diploma, it was degree. One player gets a degree, one player gets a diploma, and the player who gets the lesser word is the one who finished with a 3.9 GPA. But before we break down the full pattern of coverage that this single word fits into, you need to know three things first. First, the distinction between a diploma and a degree is not a minor semantic difference, and anyone who has covered higher education for more than 5 minutes understands exactly which word carries the academic weight and which one does not. Second, this is not an isolated moment. It is the latest data point in a documented pattern of coverage that has consistently used language, framing, and sourcing to minimize Shedeur's accomplishments and amplify his critics, a pattern that the fan base has been tracking since year one, and is now citing in a nearly 300-comment pile-on. Third, Shedeur himself responded to this moment in a way that reveals something about his character that every critic who has questioned his maturity and professionalism should be required to address. We will get to that at the end, because it is the most important part of this story. Now, let's set the full context, because this needs to be understood as a cumulative story, not a one-time incident. Shedeur Sanders came into the Cleveland Browns organization having been told for a full year by anonymous sources the local Cleveland media was more than happy to platform without accountability, that he was not studying film correctly, that he was not taking competition seriously, that he was more interested in his brand than in winning football games. Every one of those narratives was anonymous, not a single named source, not a single person willing to put their professional credibility behind the claim. But here is the thing about anonymous source journalism. It works by accumulation. One anonymous story creates the suggestion. A second story validates the pattern. A third story calcifies it into the received wisdom that sports media consumers repeat without examining where it originated. By the time training camp of year one started, the Shedeur is more interested in his image than his preparation narrative had been repeated so many times that it felt like established fact rather than what it actually was, a series of unverified claims from people who either did not know what they were talking about or had organizational motivations for undermining a young quarterback's credibility. The 3.9 GPA punctures that narrative completely. Not partially, completely. A player who earns a 3.9 GPA while playing Division I college football, while managing a national media brand, while running a commercial portfolio that was generating 8-figure valuations. That player is not someone who lacks discipline, lacks focus, or lacks the commitment to preparation that serious performance at the highest level requires. That is someone operating at an intellectual and organizational capacity that most NFL players never approach while they are in school. The GPA is not just a personal achievement. It is direct documented evidence against the most damaging narrative that has been built around Shedeur Sanders since he arrived in Cleveland. And the reporter who covered his team chose to summarize that achievement with a word that implies completing a high school program.
Browns quarterback Shedeur Sanders returns to Colorado Saturday to receive his diploma. Damn. Let's see here. What's up? Hold on. I got a pop-up here. To receive his diploma. So this is the article that she put out. Walked across the stage, posted a video on X. What's up? We got graduation video. Shedeur Sanders. Words say Deion Sanders' son. Blah, blah, blah. Shedeur participated April 6th off season. We don't care about that. Hold on. I can't vigorously say. She ain't say diploma over degree. Colorado quarterback sociology posted. Man, I think the article lying, but she damn sure said he got a
Let's talk about the diploma versus degree distinction specifically, because some people are going to say this is overthinking a trivial editorial choice. It is not. In academic language, a diploma is the physical document you receive at any level of completion, including high school, certificate programs, and trade qualifications. A degree is the academic credential that represents the completion of a 4-year higher education program, meeting the course requirements and GPA standards of an accredited university. They are not interchangeable terms when used with precision. Using diploma, where degree is the accurate word, either reflects a fundamental unfamiliarity with academic language from someone covering a player at the professional level, which is its own problem, or it reflects a deliberate choice to use the lesser word when a greater word was available. In 2015, the same reporter covered a Browns player completing his college coursework and used the accurate word, degree. The parallel is not subtle, and it was not missed by the people following both this reporter and Shedeur's coverage. The documentation of the comparison was immediate, specific, and accompanied by the kind of righteous community energy that only materializes when people feel they are witnessing confirmation of something they suspected for a long time. Nearly 300 comments. The fan base did not need to be organized. It assembled itself around a comparison that took approximately 30 seconds to find and approximately 0 seconds to understand. Now, let's talk about what this pattern of coverage actually is, because calling it disrespect understates what is happening strategically. The Cleveland Browns beat reporter covering Shedeur has built one of the most engaged comment sections in Browns media around a single recurring content format, the Shedeur Sanders skepticism piece. Anonymous sourcing that questions his preparation. Wording choices that minimize his achievements. Coverage framing that consistently presents the least favorable interpretation of ambiguous situations. Every one of these pieces generates engagement because the people who agree with the framing amplify it, and the people who disagree with the framing argue with it. Both groups generate traffic. Both groups generate clicks. Both groups contribute to the commercial success of a media operation that would generate significantly less engagement if Shedeur Sanders did not exist. The irony that is not lost on his fan base is this. The reporter who has most consistently minimized Shedeur's accomplishments is also one of the reporters who has benefited most commercially from covering him. The engagement gap between Shedeur coverage and non-Shedeur coverage on that beat is not even close. His name in a headline generates discussion. His name in a negative headline generates more discussion. That incentive structure does not produce accurate journalism. It produces content optimized for controversy at the expense of the subject being covered fairly. And Shedeur's response to all of this is the part of the story that should be told more than the reporter's word choice. Because while the comment section was assembling its army, while hundreds of his supporters were calling out the coverage and demanding accountability, Shedeur was focused on something else entirely. He recreated an iconic photo of his father at the same graduation location. He spoke publicly about the importance of completing what he started. He mentioned the possibility of pursuing a master's degree. He celebrated the milestone with his family and posted the moment on his own channels to his own audience, completely bypassing the beat reporter who had just summarized his academic achievement with a high school word. That is a player who has learned that the best response to disrespect is not engagement with the disrespect. It is the continued demonstration of everything the disrespect is trying to deny. Here is the broader argument this entire situation makes, and this is the escalating take I want you to carry out of this video. Every negative narrative that has been constructed around Shedeur Sanders since the moment he was drafted has eventually been answered by a documented fact that the narrative was trying to preemptively suppress. The "he does not study film" narrative was answered by on-field processing that the coaching staff's own GoPro technology is now capturing and documenting in real time. The "he is more interested in his brand than winning" narrative was answered by a 3.9 GPA maintained while building one of the most commercially sophisticated athlete brands in the modern era. The "he does not deserve the star" narrative is about to be answered by the 2026 season itself, by a player stepping into a functional offensive environment for the first time in his professional career and demonstrating what was always there when the structural failures of year one are no longer present. The pattern is consistent. The narratives come first, the facts follow. The narratives get quietly dropped, and the coverage machine moves on to the next angle. But the fan base is not moving on. They are keeping the receipts. All of them, including the one about diploma versus degree. My prediction, by week 8 of the 2026 season, the same reporter who chose the word diploma will be writing about Shedeur's performance in ways that bury this moment beneath positive coverage. Because positive coverage of a winning quarterback generates more engagement than negative coverage of a backup. The calculation will shift when the facts on the field make the negative framing commercially counterproductive. Watch for it. Drop a comment. Do you think the diploma versus degree choice was intentional disrespect, a careless editorial mistake, or something in between? I want the honest read from the people who have been watching this coverage pattern the longest. If you want to be here when the on-field performance forces the recalibration, hit that subscribe button right now. This is Gridiron Insights. We'll see you in the next one.